Hello and welcome. In this hypnosis discussion, you're going to learn the mindset of someone who is lucky, or in other words, the mindset of someone who sincerely feels they are lucky and have good fortune. I recommend you get a paper and pencil, write some things down. There'll also be in below a document to download that sort of describes the process. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Welcome back to the hypnosis discussion group. Those of you who might be watching this on YouTube, it happens every Friday. You're certainly invited and encouraged to take part. Next week, my plan is to talk about what I've done to sort of integrate the 6-axis model of influence that Chase Hughes uses to really get people ready and suggestible and compliant for a hypnosis session. And what I found, it is incredibly easy and it is so smooth. And I've gotten some really incredible results with it. So I'm very, very excited to talk about that. Okay, welcome to the discussion group, the hypnosis discussion group. This group is how to create luck through mind control. And this was something that I developed just years back. I had a partner, a hypnotist, who thought it was the stupidest idea to talk about, but it turns out to be one of the more ideas that I've come across. Because just to talk about luck in general, we all have a concept of what it means to be lucky. And for a lot of people, they mean, winning the lottery. If I think how to create luck, they say, okay, can you help me win the lottery? No, I can't do that. That's not what I do. What luck is, that as I've examined it, is really a state of mind. Because we've all known people who just will call themselves, I'm so lucky. And objectively, you look at their life, and their life may, in fact, be no different than anyone else's. But they experience so much of their perceptions are just filtered through this incredible perception of being lucky. So, what I did is I took some time to sort of analyze what that's like and how to create it. Those people who consider themselves lucky are very hard to feel a sense of disappointment. And so I thought, what would be the ways that we could sort of take this on? And it comes down to a set of beliefs that we can really easily just practice and install, and a set of beliefs and processes that we can use. The first thing is that those people who consider themselves to be lucky, they have this strong expectation that lucky things are going to happen to them. And in analyzing that, the best way to deliver that, to make that happen, is to simply imagine what it's like if you knew something wonderful was about to happen. Take that for a moment. And when I say something wonderful is about to happen, what I want you to do is not know what it is, because it could be anything that's wonderful. Something wonderful could simply be, okay, it's the beginning of November, and I walk outside and I see this tomato plant that is growing in this cold environment, and it has these green fruits on it. And I could just as easily ignore that. But it's just as easy to say, oh my, that's amazing, that's wonderful. So I ask people to first imagine what it's like to take on the mindset. What is it like when you imagine something wonderful is about to happen? And what you'll notice if you just try this on yourself, there's going to be a few things that you notice. Bear with me. I am sort of monitoring. There we go. What happens is, first of all the chatter in your mind stops. You stop thinking about what's going on inside your head, and you start becoming aware of everything external to you. And why do you do that? Well, because you have this feeling that something wonderful is about to happen, and you don't want to miss it. So you're this intentionally. Now you can just sort of open your field of vision. Most of us are only aware of what's in front of us right now. But if you open your field of vision, you have this really strong periphery. And if your mind shuts down, you can now start to pay attention to it, because again, that something wonderful could be anything. Yes, it could be that $20 bill that you find on the floor, but it could just as easily be the smell of the coffee brewery that's outside as you step outside, and just noticing that. And once that happens, you acknowledge it, and then you just look for the next wonderful thing that's about to happen. And when you start to create these experiences, you begin to feel very lucky. Now, there are some exercises that you can do that will sort of make this a lot easier. It's about asking the right type of questions. Typically, when difficult things happen to us, we ask a very specific question that does not help. And we ask, why the heck did this happen to me? And acknowledge that when you say, why did this happen to me? The only thing you're focusing on is that it happened to you. And even if you get an answer to why did this happen to me, you're still focusing on that it happened to you. And now you're building up justifications for why it happened. A lucky person is going to say something different. They're an entirely different question. They're going to ask themselves, what's good about this? What can I get from this that's important? Or how can I turn this into something useful? Now, if you're new to doing this particular exercise, you're going to have a couple of different responses. The first response is, you say, what's good about this? You're going to say, nothing. And you're going to stop right there. But you have to keep asking the question. So if you keep asking that question just again and again and again, your mind is going to start focusing on an answer that is, in fact, focused on what's good about it. And you can find something there. 1 second, got to turn off my phone here. Okay. Justin, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute.
What is the question, the primary question that we're asking again?
Okay, so the question is, if you want to feel this quality of luck, you have to ask a different question than why did this happen? You have to ask, what good can I get from this? What's important about this experience? What can I learn from it? What's amazing about this experience that I'm not noticing right now? All of those things create a filter for your awareness of what is good and exciting about this. So I hope that should answer your question.
Thank you, because I was just curious as to what is this question, just to reiterate on that, because that seems to be the primary emphasis that opens the door to all these new preconceptions.
Yeah.
And what is the question? You described some characteristics. So thank you so much, David. I'll let you go on now.
Yeah. And you have to understand, questions act as filters to our awareness. There was a long time ago a book by Eric von Daniken called Chariots of the Gods, and it got just massively famous. If you have read that book, he makes no statements in it whatsoever. He just provides a picture of something and says, does this look like a possible high technology device? Could it be ancient aliens gave us this information? He never makes a statement, but through it, he draws you to these conclusions through these series of questions. Uh, and of course, if you want to become a conspiracy theorist, you say you could do the same thing. Could it be that there are old cabals of people trying to control the world? Could you see it in little actions that you see in our environment every day? And you start filtering all of your reality with these questions. So change the questions. The questions aren't why is something happening, but what's great about it? What can I enjoy about this experience? What's unique? What's beautiful about this? And you can ask these questions in the most challenging situations. And just notice that as you do this, and I'm going to encourage you to do it regularly, even though your first response may be to object and say there's nothing good about this, if you keep asking, you will find something good about it. It entirely changes your perception of luck. And Justin raised your hand again.
Yeah, so I was just curious because you reiterated that. So that's the primary presupposition. The fact of asking a question and being inquisitive, you can open up the filter. And then I loved how you go off into ancient aliens and how they just go into tidbits, right? Like tangents of like, and ancient astronomers think that. What if you were supposed to be? And then for a minute, your mind is just like blown. And it's if you want to believe in the conspiracies, you're more than welcome to. But it's really not a conspiracy at all. It's just like suggestive to a
Right.
new preconception. And the question, last thing, is what opens the
Yeah.
preconception to a new and so being inquisitive is what the hallmark of a healthy mind. But it's so funny, it comes back to the parallel instance. And when we talk about what is it creating luck through mind control, it just
Mhm.
starts to this question. What was the main question again in creating luck through mind control? You said that the main question
What's
was,
lucky about this experience? What's fortunate about this experience? So, uh, yeah. And again, you see that puffy haired guy on Ancient Aliens who says, could it be aliens came down to instruct our civilization? He's not making a statement. He's just asking you to create a question in your mind. And all that does is filter your awareness. Now, here's a couple of other things that are important about people who are lucky is, or who, let me rephrase that, who consider themselves to be lucky, because those are really the lucky people. Those people who consider themselves lucky, when something good happens, they respond to it very quickly and they let it go. And they do the very same thing when bad things happen. They don't cling to any one of them because, again, their awareness is focused externally to the world around them. And they respond just the very same way with this calm, joyful equanimity to all the things that are in their environment. Uh, so, what are the things that you can do to help build this sense of anticipation, this feeling of luck? First, sit down and intentionally practice assuming something wonderful is going to happen. Knowing you don't know what it is, it could be anything. And the very first thing that comes into your mind, just acknowledge it. That's something lucky. Then do it again. Then again. And then you keep doing it and you start realizing my mood is entirely different than when I started this experience. That's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is, again, start posing your questions in a way that presumes something good is there. That's going to create a really powerful filter for you. Now, if you go back to the 6-axis model of Chase Hughes, one of the factors that help make people highly influential is this sense of expectancy. When someone is lucky, they have a high degree of expectancy. And this is just as you can do this conversationally with people just as well as on yourself, which is you ask them to imagine, what if you knew something wonderful is about to happen? What would you do that? And then you shut up and you sort of have them go through that mental exercise. And again, I'll talk about this much more next week with regard to hypnosis, but creating that sense of expectancy is pretty easy linguistically. You can just say, this is gonna be great, isn't it? Or you'll look back on this and know that this is exciting. Know you did something great. And again, you just setting it up. And when you do this, realize that those people who are highly suggestible are the more happy people. And it's important to understand how they can control that suggestibility. It's not they, yes, they could be influenced, but it's easy to be influenced in a positive way just as much as a evil way. Okay, so there is also a mindset with someone that is lucky is there is more than enough in the world. And if you just analyze that, if you look at it with objectivity, you may have to go against all the things that you've noticed in the media. But the truth is, even though with 8 billion people in the world, there is more than enough food to feed every one of them. We are in a nutritional abundance thanks to wonderful things that have happened. It's just a matter of distribution for the most part. So there's more than enough abundance of food. There's equally more than enough abundance of love. So those people who don't feel loved, it's easier to give love. And the more you give, the more you actually notice it and actually feel ready to receive it. And so consider your mindset about abundance and your situation. I mean, and I will totally admit, all of us, myself included, we find challenges to our resources, whether it's financial, whether it's friends or anything like that. But there's more than enough out there. If you start with that, you start to change your awareness to the things that are possible. And the very last thing, which I think is one of the most important, is you have a sense of deservingness. That every good thing that happens to you, you absolutely deserve. When I'm working with somebody and I'm doing hypnosis with them, and they have finally got this change that's in their mind, the last thing I tell them, focus on the feeling and press on their heart and start shouting, I deserve this. I deserve this. I deserve this. And to much of my amazement, there are people who never even considered themselves worthy of deserving anything good. So focus on that quality of deservingness. The things you can do, I'm going to recap everything here. Create a sense of expectancy. Create that feeling that something wonderful is about to happen. And do it intentionally. So really focus on that. Second of all, filter those questions in your mind to ask, what's great about this moment? What can I learn from this? This could be a shitty moment for someone else. How am I going to make it great? That's a great way of answering it. change your mindset to abundance, and also really focusing on deserving those things that you are experiencing that are good. It makes a huge difference. What I'm going to do, in the chat here, I have a couple of documents that are just basically various synopsises of everything I've said here. And let me see. And I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to paste them in the chat. There we go, and send them off. One of these is going to be available if for anyone who's listening to this on YouTube, and we will simply go from there. I'm going to shut up for a moment, open this up to questions or observations. Hammer, I was speaking to you. You obviously were nodding your head a lot. Is there anything you'd like to contribute here?
Yeah. I mean, it's everything you said it's so true, because I've been practicing this myself recently, and I found that the way I show up in the world is completely different. It's asking the right questions, is directing your attention to what's positive. And if they say that where your attention goes is where your energy flows, then if we keep asking ourselves disempowering questions like, how the hell did I get in this mess, or whatever,
Right.
it keeps us stuck even more. And
Yeah.
I found the way other people show up to me is different. It's almost as I walk around and it almost feels like I'm a celebrity, whereas 6 months ago I felt like a disheveled man with the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Yep, absolutely. That is perfect. Thank you, Hammer. Graham, you raised your hand. Graham, can you hear me? Got to mute.
Yeah, I can. It's just that me screen was popping up a dialogue box saying, "Where do you want to save the look through mind control documents?" And it was blocking the
Oh, gotcha.
unmute myself. No, one of the things with the senses that you develop. What about a sense of gratitude? Would you say that plays a part in developing the lucky mindset?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it absolutely does, and I should put it in the form as well. Gratitude is absolutely a part of that. Gratitude alone will help you create a lucky sort of mindset. So absolutely, I totally agree. And on that, Hammer, what you were mentioning, there was the very first drummer for the Beatles. I forget his. Someone might notice it, but
Pete Best.
Thank you, Pete Best. He got dumped for Ringo Starr, and you would imagine that this person feels incredible regret, feels like his life collapsed at that moment. But the exact opposite is true. He feels incredibly grateful for the experience, and his life has not gotten worse. It got better. Ryaku was a CIA operative, and he got sent to prison for talking about the torture that the CIA was doing for 9/11, and he was ready to commit suicide. He spent 3 years in prison. He got out. He wrote a best-selling book. He's got a podcast. He is the most fascinating storyteller you can ever sort of listen to, because he will just enwrap you. He will totally admit that his life didn't end because of that. And so you can't make assumptions about the situation you're in. You just can't. It's easy to be overwhelmed. And I always remind people, overwhelmed is a nautical term when the boat capsizes on top of you and it's pressing on you. But it's just as easy to realize that things are not exactly what you should expect, and stop with the assumptions. So anything else? Yes, Justin, once again.
What is the primary like presupposition? Because assumptions are like the primary basis for like why I feel these negative states. What it's actually, so it's not going to be a question based off what we've talked about prior. It's like a question to yourself when you feel overwhelmed. What is the primary implication as to like why assumptions arise and why do we feel like we question ourselves in some way? I'll
Okay.
stop right
The primary assumption is something wonderful is about to happen. That's the one that sort of sets up this. Why we have other assumptions is the result of us believing other people's bullshit, essentially. You know, they tell us.
What if that primary bullshit could be our own selves, and it's like it's the subconscious, it's the other half of ourself, and it's trying to convince us that it's going to go the other way just based off of priors, and it's like, oh, so it actually be known knowns, known knowns. It's like, oh, this is the way it's always been. This is why it will continue to be that way. But when we change the preconception, and I'll let you. Sorry, I felt the need to interject. We change the preconception back to. See, it's so almost like it's not even there. It's just so hard to believe. The primary presupposition of what is the primary presupposition of creating luck through mind control? I'll hand it back to you.
But yeah, again, the primary presupposition is you assume something wonderful is about to happen. And there's no context to what that wonderful thing could be. It could be anything. Yeah, Hammer.
Yeah, when you talk about the primary presuppositions in this experience, it reminds me of global metaphors or the metaphor of life, how you define life. To my mother, I'll use an example from my own family. To my mother, life was a dance. It was a wonderful experience for her to meet people, to do cool things and learn new things. To my father, life was hard. Life was a bitch, and then you die. And that, can you imagine which one was more lucky and had the more meaningful life?
And when you realize which one of those sides you're on, and you realize you're on the one that feels like crap, it does take some effort. It really does take some effort to get to the other side.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot of effort to notice the benefit just right away. And then you just have to keep practicing.
Yeah.
All right. Guys,
that reminds me of, oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has heard of this. And it's a thing that Igor Ledakovsky sometimes mentions. He talks about the reticular activating system. And he said there was this group who did a study on what they called lucky people and unlucky people. And they had, I think it was like a group of 10 volunteers, 5 of whom would say they were lucky type people, and 5 who said that bad luck always befell them or good things never happen, like a positive mindset and a negative mindset. And they set them a task and said, right, we want you to go from where the meeting room was, and said, right, we want you to follow this route to get to this other cafe. And they had said, you have to be very strict about the route of it. And along the route, they set up a few little trinkets, like there was like a bit of money, a scratch card, a winning scratch card, that sort of thing, like 3 little things. What they supposed to found was, I've not seen any or found any evidence to back it up, was that all the lucky people, they all spotted the folded up bit of money and the thing. They saw all the good stuff. And there was actually filming it from hidden cameras, and they actually had the unlucky people actually walking along, looking at all these little trinkets, and then turning away and ignoring it as if to say, no, that's not lucky. That can't be right. No. Yeah. Because they've had the mindset of they're not lucky. Good things don't happen to them. So when they saw that bit of money at the scratch card, they'd notice it subconsciously and then just ignore it and carry on with themselves.
Yeah, and that's an example of your awareness focusing more outward on the opportunities. So it's a good example too. Okay, Justin, one last time, we're going to wrap up here.
Oh, I wish I could take over as host because I would run this for a while. I'm really liking this one. So one of the clinicians I work with, I'll lower my hand while I'm talking to, so I'm very humble. He was talking about something called the AI model or the artificial imagination model. And if you could imagine right now, David, what the primary belief of someone that had the automatic imagination model, and presuppose the automatic imagination model, the automatic imagination, sorry, I stuttered, model is just something where it automatically happens without the person thinking about it. What would be the primary presupposition that someone could run with for an automatic imagination model where they just assume the presupposition is true and miracles happen in their life? Just something very
that's
astute.
it. That's it.
Oh, that's
They
it. That's
assume
it.
miracles
Yeah,
will
yeah, that's
happen.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So just
Right.
assume just assume
Yeah.
miracles will happen and they will befall you.
And assume that, and you're lucky, and that something wonderful is about to happen. And I
Oh,
don't
bloody
mean,
brilliant.
I mean
Bloody
right
brilliant.
now.
I love
Yeah.
this. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Okay. All right. Guys, thank you so much. It has been great. You've taken the time to be here because you're here. You're not somewhere else. And so you sacrifice that, but this is a worthy sacrifice. I deeply appreciate it. We will talk next week. Thank you very much, guys.